go.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
It's gonna. Oh, here we go. We're live.
We are live. Okay, well, hey everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2020.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the new year of Comic Book Pit goodness. This is Comic Book Pit episode 337. I'm Dan, and with me in the amazing Sorgatron Media studio, we got Scott.
Happy New Year, people.
And we got Link.
Hey, everybody.
And if you're a new listener, welcome. We like to do two different types of episodes. We usually do a comic review episode, and then we alternate that with a kind of a general conversation / media discussion episode. But if you can hear my voice, you have happened across the comic review portion of the program. So
it's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, anything could happen, and anything usually does happen. But I we've been off for a couple weeks with the holiday, and I was surprisingly able to get caught up on some reading.
I was too.
I did the opposite.
You did
Apparently.
the opposite.
I just fell further into despair.
Link just slept.
I'm actually going through like a whole reassessment of what I'm reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
So I made a list in December, and I realized that a lot of the books were going to end in December. Like they were all like all these limited series that I had been reading. And then I was like, well, I need to get my, just like my spending was out of control for the year. So I was like, all right, I just got to get it lower.
Yeah.
And so I've made some cuts.
Okay.
And I don't know if we want to talk about cuts yet, but
we'll end
on a somber note.
That's right.
Yeah. But the biggest one, this is actually kind of funny because it was in my top 5 list.
Oh boy.
Last episode.
Here we go.
But the Immortal Hulk is on my
dang.
It's on my cut list. Yeah.
Okay.
So because I was catching up, and I think 25 issues, it's solid. It's a nightmare story, the Hulk like you've never seen kind of thing. And then they start this new storyline with the Roxxon Corporation, and it's just all corporate.
Oh, okay.
And it's, Bruce is now, he basically took over the people that were after him.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's in charge. He's running this new operation, and for whatever reason, Roxxon Corporation is trying to take him out now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, but it's three issues of reading, how they're going to take each other out.
Yeah.
And
so it's a little more like corporate espionage type of,
and it's still Al Ewing, which
okay. See, I just assumed maybe it was like a new creative team took over or something.
That's why I kept on it, because Al Ewing. So I mean, even the cover's like, woo, it's the John Romita, I think, maybe just glancing at it. But it's Dale Keown.
Oh wow!
Woo, old school Hulk.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, just like interior wise, there's just not a lot happening, and it's also a different tone, and you can just tell. He's like, I played out the whole nightmare thing, like it's done. And,
okay.
And so I'm kind of like, I think it's a good point for me to jump out.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, so it's nothing against. I just am not interested in reading corporate versus corporate.
Mm-hmm.
And
it weirdly almost sounds like what they did the last couple of seasons of remember when Angel went to Wolfram and Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
that's what it sounds like. Like kind of the
that's right.
If you can't beat them, join them mentality.
Yep. The other thing too is Al Ewing wrote Marvel's that 1000.
Yeah.
He wrote that, and I think this is going to tie into that eventually, and I'm also not interested in reading that crossover, which I think launched.
Mm-hmm.
They just had that book start on January 1 or something, or on Christmas break, but it's supposed to roll into this big crossover with the whole mask thing that they wrote up in Marvel 1000.
Oh, that.
Yeah, and I'm just not interested.
There's like,
And
yeah,
I think Al Ewing's gonna roll Hulk into that too, and I'm like, I'm out. So
that's my gut feeling for like every
Yeah.
Marvel book is like every
Which-
previous book. I'm like, oh, it's the other event that's gonna happen right
Yeah.
after, and I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
fucking good, man. Like
Right.
I don't need that
right,
in my life.
Well,
right, exactly.
Like,
I'm kind of jumping off script here a little bit, but did you guys read that incoming one shot?
Is that what?
no, I saw it. And I was like, no.
No,
yeah,
I didn't read it.
I was
I thought we did this already with like Original Sin, so I didn't like that.
yeah,
event,
it's
so.
kind of like it starts off as a murder mystery that eventually morphs into like the last like 2 or 3 pages are like, oh no, it's an alien invasion.
Mhm.
It's really weird, and it's interesting in how it jumps through every pertinent part of the Marvel universe.
Mhm.
They're following clues, and it goes from like, Daredevil to Jessica Jones to Captain Marvel to Reed Richards. It's almost like they keep, like they're passing the torch. Like, I've gone as far as I can with this clue. Now you take it and tell me what .
Oh.
And then it eventually, yeah, you find out that who is it? Who's the one young Avenger? Hulkling, who was
sure.
who was. I mean, this was not. I mean, this was revealed years ago, where he's actually like a half Skrull or
He's
something.
like a
Yeah.
prince of
Yeah.
Skrull something.
Well,
yeah.
he ascends to his throne,
Okay.
and
Oh.
and I guess the Kree and Skrull have actually formed an alliance,
Oh.
and they determined that their first target is going to be Earth.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of pages for a lot of money, and
Oh.
it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I had to read it like 3 times because I kept falling asleep at certain
Always
points of
a
it.
sign of a good book.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And it was just honestly, I think that was more me than
Sure.
but staying up too late on when you don't have to work the next
Yeah,
day
yeah.
during Christmas, vacation.
Mhm.
But yeah, I even like I don't even remember the name of the event that it's.
I thought the event
going.
was incoming,
No, that's what I thought too. But incoming is just like
just the one shot.
it's kind of like just the kickoff
Okay.
event. But the actual event, I don't think even happens until like the spring.
Secret invasions.
That's right. With a Z.
Yeah.
It's the millennial secret invasion.
Oh.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's not Event Leviathan, right?
no,
No. Okay.
but okay, I wasn't sure if anyone had read that.
No,
we
I
didn't
didn't
talk
read
about
it.
it, but I thought, well, it's kind of
Yeah.
event
yeah.
adjacent, so I thought maybe someone else might have read it, but I guess I was the only
Mhm.
dummy.
No, what a
that read it.
hard time to be like. In general, what a hard time to be a young Avengers fan. I feel as if like if you ever care about that team, you need to read like
Yeah,
like just the weirdest shit, and you're like,
Oh,
they're important to this plot arc.
hmm
Oh, you have
Just
to
because they
follow
always
them.
you follow them through like all their various
Oh.
crossovers to ever
Yeah.
care about what's happening to them.
Mhm.
It's just weird.
yeah,
Just because you mentioned Hulkling, and I'm like,
That's a
oh
bummer.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's plenty of people that like that character and Wiccan and all that stuff, but they
Mhm.
hell if I know what books they're ever in.
Right.
yeah. They,
Yeah.
they kind of split. I mean, they were in their own books for a while, and like or team book, and then they kind of just split them up over, like Kate Bishop went to Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Oh,
and and she's got her own thing going on, and
Mm-hmm.
she's obviously she's a fan favorite, and she's gonna be in the show. She's gonna be in the
Oh,
Hawkeye
yeah.
show.
Oh yep.
So I mean, whoever would think that like her first appearance would ever be worth anything?
Yeah. Right.
Like Young Avengers #1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I
but-
didn't realize that's where she's
Yeah.
from. Oh,
I
wow.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
I
what-
thought she had been around even longer.
Nope. She showed up in that first.
She was
issue.
Well, she was right after what was Civil War when he became Ronin? No. Right after Cap died, I guess. Maybe it was Civil War, but it was whenever Hawkeye became Ronin.
Oh, okay.
There needed to be a new Hawkeye,
Ah.
and like Kate Bishop kind of filled that role,
Okay.
and Clint was just running around being a ninja for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't even.
But
I only remember the disassembled part, right? They did
Well,
the,
that's when he died, and I don't remember when he came. See,
Yeah.
I don't remember when she took the Hawkeye mantle, if it was in between disassembled and he came back, or if it was, because like he showed up in like Bendis's New Avengers, he just like came back from the dead.
Yeah.
Like zero explanation.
right.
So yeah, I don't know where Kate Bishop falls
Okay.
in that.
Yeah,
But,
I think I remember actually researching this at one point, just to figure something out. And I'm pretty sure Bendis, he just faked his death. Hawkeye technically, I guess, didn't die. He just became Ronin.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
However, Bendis wrote it, I don't know,
Hmm.
but that I'm sure he, whoever wrote it previously intended him
There
for
was
him to
probably
die.
a long
I just-
conversation.
Yeah,
I just remember like how he died was just, it was weird. Like he was like on a, I don't know if he was in a Quinjet or if he was on like some sort of flying
That's right.
thing, and it exploded, and you just hear him like yelling like, "No, not like this," or
Yeah.
something. Like
yeah.
it's really bizarre.
And then he's gone.
Yeah. So I think we were talking before the show. We were gonna, I think, start with a new book. This is how much I believe in this book, because I actually bought the physical copy of it,
Oh.
which you guys know I never do anymore.
Yeah.
I'll even
Well, they're nice physical copies. You even have the nice bag for it.
yes.
Oh.
It's a magazine size.
What?
This
I
is
don't
a
have the bag.
this is a
Do you wanna
black
look at it?
label.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
This is a black label book. And actually my first black label
Oh, wow.
purchase, too.
Oh wow.
Wonder
Okay.
Woman Dead Earth book 1.
I grabbed the other cover.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it says it's a variant cover, which I didn't even realize. This was the only one they had. I bought this at a comic book store in Indianapolis over Christmas. It was kind of a pity purchase, just because
because you're in a store and you're like, I should buy.
I should buy. Yeah, I feel like I should
Yeah.
do something. I
Yeah.
should find some way to patronize this
Right.
this store. And I ended up spending more. Like I think that's where I bought my Mr. Miracle tumbler, and
Oh yeah.
actually that's where I got these magazine size bags, because I
Nice.
needed them for some actual magazines.
Oh.
And I bought Jenna pop vinyl,
Nice.
and anyway, I spent more in this terrible comic book store than I really wanted to. But
Oh, this wasn't the good store.
no, this was not the good store.
Oh, okay.
This was, but I didn't realize. I thought this might have been like the only store in the area, so I'm like, well, I
Oh.
better just get some stuff now.
Oh, I got you.
And like 2 days later,
You found the
Found
good
a
one.
nice-
we
store.
we drove around to like 3 other stores, and the final one was the good one.
The one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I did buy some stuff there too. I bought a T-shirt, and I bought bought a book each for my nephews, and stuff like that.
What,
So
Nice.
what was the good name of the good store?
Hero House.
Okay.
Yeah. So shout out to Hero House in. Technically, it's in a little area called Fountain Square,
Okay.
Indiana, which is like kind of right outside of Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be like Oakland for us,
Oh,
like
yeah.
versus Pittsburgh.
Right.
Like it's outside.
Like when people go to Monroeville for conventions.
Yeah, going to the big city.
Yeah.
But it was this cool hip little neighborhood, like a Squirrel Hill or Lawrenceville type of, like lots of art and a lot of
Okay.
brewery stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it had this really cool comic shop, like I said, called Hero House. And so yeah, if you're ever in the area, definitely stop in. Ask for Dale.
Oh, nice.
I don't think he doesn't own it. I think he just is like, just runs it.
Okay.
So if it's
Super
fun-
nice guy.
Sidebar: there's a comic shop out in Ohio called Dale's Dead Comics,
Okay.
and the guy that runs its name's Ron. So I don't know who Dale is.
Whatever happened to Dale, nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't know who Dale is in that scenario. So,
It's a mystery.
but yeah.
But anyways, getting back to Wonder Woman Dead Earth Book 1. I wasn't really super interested when I first heard about it until I figured out that it was the exact same creative team as Murder Falcon.
Oh.
So
Okay.
that immediately piqued my interest.
I thought the art looked familiar.
Yes. So it's it's basically it's a post-apocalyptic story in the DCU. Well, I mean Black Label, so it's kind of like outside of the DCU. It's out of continuity.
But Batman's there, is what you're saying,
right?
Yeah. Well, he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a spoiler,
you
but
saw that. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just say there's a cameo. We'll just put it that way. There's she, it's an undetermined amount of time. Wonder Woman wakes up in this like cryogenic chamber, and the world is pretty much gone to shit.
Yeah.
There's it's alluded that there was a nuclear war. Very little in the way of answers for Wonder Woman, but when she wakes up and she's weaker. Like she's definitely like a kind of like a more diminished state, but she's still strong enough to to defend people, and that's still inherent in her nature, is to defend the people that need defending. And it takes a couple twists and turns, and but this was a really fun book. I really enjoyed it. And I don't know, Scott, what did you think about it?
I liked it, but not as much.
Okay.
But it did. I love, because it's just a slobber knocker kind of book where, she's just getting, attacked on all sides by demon hordes, and I like that whole element to it. I like that, but I don't know if I like the whole apocalyptic thing. Like, I don't know if it just didn't grab me for some reason.
Yeah.
But there is still some nice moments in there where she talks about why she defends humanity, because she loves them, and like they're just perplexed by that. Like they're because they're so far removed from.
Yeah, like it's almost like they don't know what that concept is.
Yeah.
Where like she comes from, and she even explains like it's not romantic love. It's not a sexual feeling.
Yeah.
It's like a pure feeling of love,
right,
towards people,
right.
And then there's a flashback to when she was little on Themyscira, and her mother was explaining things to her, and you see Steve Trevor. I think that's who it is. He's never named, but I'm pretty sure it's him, because it's like it's a plane,
right?
It's a downed plane, and so she decides, and she kind of takes over the group of survivors that she is, kind of takes refuge in, and
it's pretty bleak, honestly. I don't know if that's why I'm like, oh man, like it's just too. But they're almost like this is the last city, or that anyone knows of,
right? And
everything else is like the wasteland, and then they're getting attacked. Like at the end, it's like, oh, now they're getting overrun. I'm like, oh God,
right?
Like
now there's gonna be even less of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's both kind of interesting and a little frustrating. Is you really don't know how much time has passed.
Yeah.
It could have been like 50 years, could be 500 years.
Right.
I mean, there's no way of knowing. So, and that may or may not necessarily be important to the, to tell the story.
What's her name? Cheetah, or whatever her name is.
Yep.
Cheetah.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's in there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
With the cheetah arm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
You can't really see it in there, but
yeah.
She has cheetah arms,
and she's like mutated, like she's got like teeth on her face. That was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like the art in this, it's his writer artist Daniel Warren Johnson, who, like I said, he did Murder Falcon, and he did another book that I recently purchased called Space Mullet.
Oh,
okay.
Geez.
I haven't read it yet, but it sounds fun. His art is just really it's kind of like almost a little grungy, but like very very organic.
It is very organic, yeah.
And like it really, and it just really like it's almost like you can reach out and touch it.
His Cthulhu monsters are very unique too.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, he's great at drawing
Yeah.
like if you looked at Murder Falcon at all, I mean, he was always I
Yep.
mean, like the monsters he drew and the creatures were just
yeah.
gruesome.
And I will say that too, like, not to say that I won't keep reading this. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I'm gonna buy the next one or not. I'm
Mhm.
gonna flip through it, decide. But I know in Murder Falcon, when it started,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty down too. Like, it was a pretty somber
It was, yeah.
beginning, and then it ramps up to this
Mhm.
rock and roll level. And
Yeah.
so maybe that's what he's gonna do with this too.
How many pages is it? Does it? Because it's like.
They're big.
they're
All the
big,
Black
but
Labels
they're-
are like 40 pages or something.
Okay.
It feels.
Oh,
That's my
okay.
guess.
Yeah.
It feels like it. It
That
takes me
sounds
like
right.
twice as long to read than a normal comic.
I'm just wondering because I think this is only like a three
Yeah.
They've
They're-
usually
they're
been like 3
typically
issues.
three
Right.
book
Yeah.
series.
It runs about like what $25 to $30 I think total when you're all done with it.
Right.
Roughly.
Is there
They're like $8 books.
Yeah. This is
seven? This is
seven.
$6.99.
Okay.
Yeah,
So.
not too shabby.
Mm-hmm. So, but I guess my point being, he only has 2 more
Two,
books
yep.
to,
Yeah.
tell his story. So, but I'm definitely in. I mean, if nothing else, like I said, I'm in for the art, and I'm a
Yeah.
big fan. So
Oh yeah. Well, what I'll do is just like Murder Falcon. I didn't buy them all right away, and then all of a sudden I was scrambling to buy it. Just
Dan's going to tell you about how great this is.
yeah, that's what.
Right,
So
issue 3.
when you upsell number 2, and then I'm like, oh crap, I should read it.
Mhm.
Then I have to run to the store and buy it.
and you're like, oh, it's sold out, and I got to go to eBay and pay 3 times as much.
Yeah.
I should have listened to Dan.
I will say that the Black Label books seem to like you're not going to be set up for too many surprises because it is a short.
Mhm.
It's an arc, and you can kind of narratively
Right.
have a feeling where it might go. It sounds like that ends on a cliffhanger, so maybe you don't have an idea if it's
Right,
going to
they
get darker
just-
Well,
or brighter. But
Not
She just
necessarily-
sets up,
Yeah, not necessarily a cliffhanger, just more of a direction.
gotcha.
right,
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
But
she
gives you a
decides.
clue,
Yeah, she decides that their best bet is to make their way to back to her home, to Themyscira.
Okay.
That she says that it should be safe there, which immediately I think it's not going to be safe.
Yeah. it's gonna
Something
be
bad's gonna
horrible.
happen.
They're
Yeah.
going to get there, and yeah, it's going to be
Right.
something awful has
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
It'll be filled with men, dirty, nasty men.
Aw.
Well, Link, so you had a Black Label book that you were
Yeah.
sort of.
I mean, yeah, we talked about this a little bit at the New Dimension podcast that we did, the grand opening podcast.
Oh yeah.
So Harleen finished, and it's by you're gonna remember,
Steven
Stepjnik.
Yeah,
Stepchick.
Stepchick, yeah.
Yeah. He does the art and the writing on it. And overall, it was a pretty good book. It's like I said last time, it follows the narrative arc of Harley, how she becomes a psychiatrist and starts working at Arkham and all this kind of stuff. But in terms of it being a, I'm trying to think of the word here, an appropriate representation of abusive relationships. Like that's sort of the hook of this book, is that while you're reading it, you're kind of going through the emotions of your own abusive relationship, kind of, where you're like, oh, I kind of think the Joker can be redeemed, but like you also know that he's outside knowledge is like, yeah, he's an asshole and
Right.
this is
Yeah.
all bad.
Yeah.
But the book tricks you while you're reading it, and you're like, well, wait, maybe no. It's spoiler alert, Joker's still an asshole. But you fall into that mindset,
He's still
like,
psychotic.
yeah, Harley's your narrator, and you fall into her mindset, and you see how she could have, been tricked into thinking that there was
Okay.
something to save. And in the book, it has its own twists and turns, and it plays on like the story, and it kind of has more. Harleen's more of a in charge of her own origin story, as opposed to it being like, oh, the Joker tricked her and threw her into a vat of acid. It's you see it more through her eyes and how like she made these choices. It wasn't
Oh yeah.
the Joker, like entirely. It was Harley. Just she got lost in there.
Yeah.
and made some very poor life choices in the process. And then it ends sort of like on this somber note of the very last page is just very. It conveys that feeling of like a trapped relationship where like you can see that she's fighting with herself to like admit that like she's in this fantasy land where like everything's all hunky dory, but really like her sane personality is like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like this is, and it kind of ends as like, oh well, to be continued in Batman comics. Like, how it goes now, where she's off doing her own thing in Coney Island or whatever she's up to nowadays. But yeah, no, it was really good. The art's solid. The characterization was great. It was just is a really interesting perspective and a good serious story compared to, once again, the Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Conner kind of like goofy, wacky,
kind of like slapstick.
Yeah, it's definitely more like, it's the Black Label title. You're gonna get what you're signed up for, which is serious comics.
Yeah. No Joker dick or anything.
No, there is no Joker dick.
We only get Batman.
There are some, there's sex scenes, but they're tasteful.
Okay.
They're like Cinemax level sex scenes.
Gotcha.
Not
DC
not
Comics After Dark.
Yeah.
This is an awful assessment of Netflix that I had. But basically, this is what assessment I had of any Netflix show. It starts out with frontal boobs, a man's butt, and then somebody gets shot in the face. And I'm like, if basically,
what show are you watching?
Every show is like that.
That sounds like the first episode of The Witcher.
Right? Okay, or
minus the guns, maybe.
I don't know, but all their shows start like they're like, here's our,
I guess I'm not watching the right Netflix shows.
I don't know, but they just all seem like they want to prove how gritty or how
like we can be edgy.
Yeah, or edgy, and then after that, it's over.
I've only ever really
the
noticed
first
like
episode.
in Netflix like more language and violence. I don't know that I've ever watched a show that had
I think we were watching
like boobs and butts.
We were watching Godless for one, and it's a year or two older. It's a cowboy.
Okay.
But
I don't
just straight up like cowboys are just shooting each other in the faces.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're chest shot. They're and
right.
then they show the skull and it's like bent in from where the bullet hits, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Netflix.
Yeah, that'll sneak up on you.
Yeah.
We were watching, not to get too sidetracked, but The Witcher we were watching, and Kate mentioned like, does everybody have to get naked every 5 minutes?
Right.
And they're like, obviously it's dark fantasy and they're competing with Game of Thrones a little bit, but I was like, I don't think I noticed it that much. And then like next scene is like just like a room full of naked ladies. I'm like, oh yes, there it is.
Yes, you're right. I stand
that is the thing.
Link was like, what beautiful architecture in this room. Wow, this is great.
But I guess my train of thought was based on like with Batman, they started out with like, let's just have a full frontal Batman,
right?
And now that all our books are edgy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I will say Harley, well, it's serious subject matter, doesn't try that hard. It's still a little cheesecakey in that way. Like there's really beautiful pinups of like Poison Ivy and Harley and stuff, but it's not like. But nobody's like fully naked.
That's
what
I mean. They already proved that that they're edgy, and now they're like, now here's our other books.
Yeah.
They were so edgy they had to censor their trade paperback release. They were too edgy.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, you want to keep going with Batman? You were talking about Batman, and I know you have a Bat book.
Yeah,
the Bat book,
the final Bat book.
Yes.
Of
ever.
Yeah, maybe
this is it.
This could be another.
This is the last Batman issue ever.
Batman number 85 by Tom King.
The
final Tom King issue. And it could be my final issue of Batman. I don't know yet. I'm going to read a couple. You
think this is going to be on
Are you going to check out your James Tinian's run?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I am going to check it out, but I'm.
But it's very close to being on the Duke's 2020 cut list.
It may be on the cut list. It was in my top 5, but it's maybe on my 2020 cut. Yeah,
it'll be like, these are my top 5 cut books of the year.
Yeah.
They're great.
The same books. Yeah. What happened? Did you guys read this or no?
No.
I'm so far behind on Batman.
Yeah.
But I know from what I've been told, it ends in a way that's satisfying.
It is.
That isn't like.
Yeah, I heard that like kind of everyone gets a good like character moment.
Yeah.
And I heard that it's not like, hey, tune into Batman and Catwoman in like 4 months or whatever.
Right.
Whenever that book
it's
comes out.
It's actually like you can stop reading here
Yeah.
if you want. Like you don't have to read whatever the next Catwoman Batman book that he's going to write. You don't have to.
Which apparently,
awesome.
not to sidetrack your, talking about this book, but apparently that book, they've removed the solicitations.
Oh.
And it sounds like it's getting not going to be published, but it's delayed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well then.
Oh my.
So I don't know what's going on with Tom King's world, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a maniac though.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. It was good. When I heard somebody talking about what's good about Tom King is like his characterization and all that stuff, but like when it gets into his alternate dimension father, you kind of are like, what? Like what? But I also like how they resolve that in this too, because they're trying to make him basically like, how does Batman beat Batman?
Yeah.
And then he's like, because I'm Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yeah.
But also because I think the sentiment comes from the fact that he was able to resolve with Selena. They found a place where they can be happy, like in their lives, without being married.
Yeah.
And that also, they were able then to get the drop on, Old Man Wayne. So, and that was nice. And then he also gave a nice ending to, what's her name, Gotham Girl.
Oh yeah.
Which was like, what?
I forgot.
So
I forgot all
That's
about her.
wild. That I like that she was a through line. I saw covers every now and then, or when I flip through it, because I the last time I read Batman was War and Jokes and Riddles. So I'm like, 30 issues into it.
Basically, her use of power, means she's going to die sooner.
Yes. Yep.
So like eventually she'll burn herself out.
Yep.
But in the, I'll give you the spoiler, but basically Batman finds a way. He gives her something that doesn't let her depower. So he's like, you're free. You know, like you can still be a hero. And even though in these final issues she was actually on Bane's side, but because she thought she had to be, like she's, because she was so confused.
I was gonna say she didn't like this. Wasn't like the psycho pirate.
Yes.
Like, messed her up.
Yep.
Yeah. But Batman.
God, it's sad that I remember that.
Yeah. But Batman redeemed her. Basically, he was like, no, you're a hero, and and she's like, oh my god. So that was nice too.
That she was like, let me see that Batman D.
Yeah. And then that was pretty much it. It was a nice. There's a brutal ending for Old Man Wayne, which he may or may not be dead. We'll just say that. And Bane, crazy Bane. The only thing that wasn't really explained in like reading the whole thing and how Bane was behind everything the whole time, mastermind, is they never really explained how he was able to make his workings work.
He's Bane. He's a master strategist.
Right.
That seems to be the go-to for a lot of
also,
people who write Bane.
Yeah, and he was also like Batman would literally go in, beat the hell out of him in his cell.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you're crazy. And then at the end of 2 issues later, he's smirking like, haha, that's my plan.
To get my ass whooped.
Yeah, and it's like, well then, how is he running everything?
Yeah.
They don't try to explain it. Like, they really don't. They're just like, well, the whole thing is that he was able to get his grip lock on Gotham for a while, but that was also part of Bruce Wayne's plan, was to let him have that hold.
Wait, Bruce Wayne or Thomas Wayne?
Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Bruce Wayne's plan to let Bane have that.
Oh, okay.
That control.
I feel as
I
if
was like, what?
it feels as like trying to weave like an interesting like one-up narrative is always just like you're just like okay,
It got a little crazy.
Yeah.
It's like how Ocean's 11 is this?
A little too convoluted.
Bane and Thomas Wayne are trying to one up, and Bruce Wayne's one up. So all 3 of them are trying to. Yeah,
they're all
each other.
trying to play each other.
Yeah.
They're all the brilliant strategists.
Yeah.
It's the new episode of Rick and Morty. Where
Yes, that's exactly what I was
the
thinking of.
heist, right?
Yeah.
The heist where they're trying to outthink each other
Yeah.
in the heist. Yeah, it's pretty much that.
Okay.
But it was still a very, very satisfying ending
Okay.
to the whole thing. So yeah, Tom King still on the I will read it if he writes it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I might catch up with it. Like if I find them cheap or something, I'll probably eventually go back and catch up with it. I just
What, you stopped
find
like
it.
10
You'll find
issues ago or something, right? Like
I want to say I stopped in like
the nightmare
late,
thing was horrible.
Yeah, I think that's when I stopped. When it was like.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, which I think
actually,
was
it
like
might be
the late.
more than 10 because they
yeah,
do
I
2
think
issues a month. So
I want to say it was like maybe like the late '60s,
yeah, that sounds about right.
somewhere in there.
So like 10 months ago, so 20
Yeah.
issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. So
But after they did that for like 6 or 8 issues of him having a
Mm-hmm.
nightmare scenario,
Mhm.
and at the end of every issue, it was like, oh, it's still a nightmare.
yeah,
I'm like, come
yeah,
on.
that got really old
Yeah.
really fast.
Yeah.
and yeah, he just kind
That
of
was definitely the low point for me in the
Yeah.
whole series.
Mhm.
That and the her leaving
Mhm.
and for the wedding.
Mhm.
I was
Right.
like, what? Yeah,
Is
like that was a kick.
is Catwoman's book still going?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's on my cut list. it's a
Okay.
another heist.
Okay.
yeah. We're assembling a team of cut books. No, I'm reading through them right now. I haven't gotten
Okay.
I haven't caught up to the present yet, but I had to stop buying it because I was like 12 issues behind.
Oh, okay.
So I just cut it for now, and then when I get
So-
caught up, we'll see.
I fall behind on all my books, and then
Yeah.
they end, and I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm good now.
Yeah,
I'll just
yeah,
go read them all. and
I
not-
made the right
not get-
decision to not
but
read
then-
these.
but- yes.
yeah.
Well, no, and then what happens is there's so many sequels to those books. I'm like, I don't know what happened in the last book.
Right.
I can't even commit to this new one.
Exactly.
So then,
Mhm.
yeah,
That's why I'm
it,
like,
it evens itself out
it
eventually.
does. But basically, Catwoman's her whole book is taking place out of country.
Right.
So she's just having her own adventures.
Mhm.
So you
It's-
don't really have to worry.
For all
too
intents and purposes, it's like an out of continuity story.
much. Right.
Yeah.
But I love I forget her name now. Joelle
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The writing's solid. I
Mhm.
mean, I love her art though. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
I almost am like, don't write all the time. Like
That's how I
want you
feel.
to draw.
Right.
Like, but she does write a good story.
Okay.
So
I can't remember what book it is, but speaking of, there's Scotty Young.
yes.
Do you know he's doing like a new thing, like a new writing gig?
Middle.
No.
not
This
that
is a
one.
new thing. This
Oh.
is like a Marvel or DC thing.
I-
That was like
Oh no. Okay.
I can't remember,
I-
but it was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of what
I
it
was like,
is.
oh sweet, Scott. I was like, oh wait, he's writing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like something I would have wished he would be doing the art for.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you on that. in
Yeah.
general.
Middle West, I think is
Yep.
his. Is he illustrating that? I
I
don't
don't-
remember.
I don't think he is.
Crystal reads that one.
Yeah.
I don't,
Mm.
we're at the store. We both, but I don't read it for some reason. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's not on. It's not on the cut
It's
list.
not on
not.
the
It's
cut.
already cut.
No, it's in. Scotty Young is in.
Well,
So
Duke, is Star Wars #1 on your new list?
it is. Yeah.
I wasn't actually planning on buying this, but I decided, I'm kind of like on the Star Wars hype machine now. Like, I saw the movie, I'm like feeling Star Wars again,
Yeah.
getting excited, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna buy it because, it's like a #1. It's a fresh start because it takes place immediately after Empire.
Yeah.
And excuse me, and that was a story. When I saw the movie as a kid, the way Empire ended, like that was a story I wanted to see
Yeah.
with Lando and Chewie flying off in the Falcon, and Luke and Leia and the droids behind, like. I'm like, oh, I like this new guy. I want to see more of him.
Right.
And so that's why this, I thought this first issue was pretty good. It was, the art was terrific. I'm blanking. I'm blanking on the who wrote it.
Oh, let's see. It's one of the
I
guys
think
that
I
have
think the
been
credits at
writing
the
it.
end.
Oh, of course.
They always put him at the end now.
Charles Soule.
Charles Soule.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, I'm definitely in.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my guys, too. You know, that
Mm-hmm.
I'll pretty much read whatever he writes
Yeah.
at this point. So,
Um,
as long as he's not too prolific.
but no, but this takes place like literally like right after. Well, I mean, actually, right from the moment Luke gets his hand cut off in Empire, and it a lot of it actually takes place on the Falcon.
Yeah.
And then they hook back up with the fleet, and they kind of decide where to go from there. And actually, at the end of Empire, we just assume that, oh yeah, Lando's a good guy now and he's with them, but they don't trust him. Like
Right.
he's not necessarily, like, in their eyes, not necessarily a good guy.
Right.
He's got to. So I think a lot of this book is going to be him earning back
Yeah.
his their
something
trust.
Something I just realized too, flipping through this, is that the last scene in Empire is Lando and Chewie flying off to go save Han.
Right.
But this story takes place before that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
I was
this
gonna say yeah, because they're not.
This is them hyperspacing out,
Yeah.
and they're at a rendezvous
Mhm.
point, but it's the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not even at the end where the whole fleet is amassing
Yeah,
in this
Mhm.
book, which is kind of cool.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that because that it was Leia and Lando in that weird one shot. I can't remember what it was. A Lando one shot, a Leia one shot, or something. Where like that's how she got the suit, the bounty hunter's outfit to go to Jabba's.
yeah.
That was like a one shot that they threw in there.
Okay.
Oh,
So like
okay.
I assume that occurs somewhere
some point.
in this.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, not in that, but during that
Yeah.
time frame. But that's interesting because like this entire run's gonna not have Han in it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
I know. I
That's
was
like
thinking-
80 issues without Han Solo.
Right. That's crazy. That's
Like I wonder if they'll just like this is what Han's up to,
Yeah.
frozen in carbonite.
Yeah, just
yeah.
like just cuts to him every now.
Yeah.
and then.
Does yeah
or even maybe not him,
or
but like
does-
Jabba and like what's going on over there.
does
yeah, or
Boba,
maybe Boba Fett.
Yeah.
does Boba go right to Jabba's, or does he go somewhere else, or
Mhm.
or like just setting up the plan to infiltrate Jabba's palace, because you got to figure that Lando has to set up some sort of plan just to get in there
Yeah.
as a guard,
Right.
and be vetted. In
Well, yeah,
some
that's the
way.
thing. Like, we don't know how long Lando was in there
Yeah.
before the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been in there for months,
Yeah.
Right.
living that sweet
The
hut
other thing,
life.
too, is that, the other thing too is
Hanging
that
out with Salacious Crumb.
Luke planned the whole thing,
Mhm.
so it's a heist.
Yeah.
well, not only that, but at some point, Luke, because he mentions it in this book, he's like, "I'm not a Jedi." He's like, "I don't know what I am.
Yeah.
I didn't finish my training."
Oh, he's all disillusioned right now.
And so at some point, and maybe it happens in this series, he's got to go back and finish his training.
He's super bummed too. Well, he's like Ben didn't answer my call.
Like, I mean, he's like,
He's
everyone
like,
lied to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Luke, who's in a bad place. Like the Rebel Alliance is kind of in disarray because they figured out that the Empire has been decoding their messages, so they know where the various
Oh yeah, where the fleet
rendezvous
meetups.
are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at one point, Lando looks around like the room, and he's like, "This could be the Rebel Alliance. Like, you guys could be
'Cause they
it."
could have already been found,
Right.
Like the other cells or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting run. I don't know how far I'll go with it, but I mean, I thought this first issue was
Yeah,
pretty great.
I don't know if I maybe talk about Empire Ascendant too
Yeah.
on this, but Empire Ascendant was supposed to be the right before
Empire.
Empire.
So that, this
You're not
was
hearing
Well, just pull it a little closer. That's
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah.
this was the roundup to that big event that you were talking about last time, where it was
Yeah.
like, well, it was kind of an ending, but not because
Right. Yeah, because the book ended with no indication
closure,
of
yeah.
going to Hoth. So then this was another kick in the pants, the Empire Ascendant, because it actually was just 4 primer stories for the new 4 Star Wars books.
that's it.
Yeah, I was like, what? So like, the first one is actually a cool story with Poe Dameron's parents
Oh,
on Hoth base,
cool.
which I
No
thought
pun
that was.
intended.
Oh, that was another thing. Well, yeah, I mean, his Poe Dameron's dad is like a prominent character in that first issue.
That's right.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's right. That's probably why he was in this. Where Charles Soule, of course, wrote this, to introduce the Damerons.
Does he write the Poe Dameron solo book?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
he wrote that,
He's the official Poe Dameron.
He is. And
writer.
it was great. Like, it's weird how that book, I swear, for like the first 7 or 8 issues, it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like them in X-Wings running around doing missions. And then all of a sudden they introduced like this awesome villain, and Poe Dameron had like a perfect counterpart nemesis.
Yeah.
And I was like, this book is amazing now. So like, it's,
Sure, yeah.
It really went for a long time too. I didn't expect
it went for 30.
Yeah, like a solo book with Poe Dameron. I'm like,
Right.
oh, it might go like a dozen issues.
My
Well, yeah, it started like right after The Force Awakens. I was like, oh, the sleeper hit character that was like
Yeah.
only in like 30 minutes of the film
Yeah.
Right.
has a
Yeah, and my favorite thing from that book though was they went somewhere and basically you found out though that C-3PO was running a droid network across the galaxy. Like that's what he's been doing for the last 30 years.
nice.
So like droids from all over the place would just be like, "Hey, I heard this,"
Yeah.
and just give it to him. So he had all this information, but he was still a blabbermouth. Like so, he wasn't. You think like, C-3PO is so awesome, but he's like standing in a busy bar and starts talking about Han Solo's deal with with a Kanji Club.
yeah.
And they're sitting at a table in the background, and they literally get up and they go over and talk to the other guys.
Yeah.
And like so, that whole scene in Force Awakens is because 3PO blabbed in a bar. Like that's why
That's
they
fantastic.
found Han. I was like, this is awesome. Like what a great scene. But anyway, Empire Ascendant, they did the 4 stories, and they're literally just primers to get you ready for the 4 books that they're rolling out.
And 3 of them are Well, 2 of them are the same book.
Yeah,
3, I guess, if you want to count Star Wars. But
Star Wars, Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra.
So Dr. Aphra is going to be like
She's
now caught up to the other. That's kind of
she's
cool.
also making the jump.
That's not something I would have expected them
Yeah.
to do. To be like, oh well,
I
here's
thought
what Dr. Aphra is up to after Empire.
Yeah, I thought they would have finished it off, and then they had spent so much time with this one new bounty hunter. Well, he's not new, but he's from the old Marvel series,
Oh.
the Cyborg. I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah, the guy that looked like Cable. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, Cable Prime. But basically, he's going to have a book called Bounty Hunters.
Yes.
And some of the bounty hunters that appeared in Empire will be on his team.
Yep. The coolest characters.
But I was a little.
Yeah, I'll probably check that out. That sounds pretty cool.
I'll check them out too. That's like they're doing it smart because they're rolling these out 1 a month.
Yes.
All through April.
Then you're
So
hooked, and then suddenly you got like.
You get this
Yeah.
nice bubble, and you're like, "All right, I'll try the next one," and then a nice bubble.
And then Scott's like, well, so much for my cut list.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now I'm like,
Next thing you know, Scott's just only reviewing Star Wars
Exactly.
comics.
basically I'm 50-50 right now.
Roger,
But,
Roger.
I'll probably, I'll try them out. I will probably try them all because
Yeah.
issue ones, But
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm going to continue because Dr. Aphra's one that dropped off for me. Like I have them all, but I have to read them. Like
I really
just
enjoyed
lost-
what I read, but
Okay.
they were only I was gonna buy them hardcover, and then they only made one hardcover. And I'm like,
No.
what?
Oh, that sucks.
Aw.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
Like, do I need to track down the trade? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of a mess.
Yeah, it's one I'm trying to work towards
Yeah.
to get back
Mhm.
caught up to. So we'll see. But Star Wars, yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
Charles Soule is solid. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Cool. Link, you have anything?
Yeah, I'll briefly talk about. I read old trade paperback. Maybe 2 years old now. Was the first trade paperback for the Robotech series that came out from Titan Comics by
oh, okay.
Brian Wood and
Oh wow.
Brian Wood. Wow. Yeah, I didn't.
What?
and And Marco Turini was the artist, which is the art was fine. I could have. It was more realistic than I would have expected for like a Japanese anime inspired book, but it was still good. It's the best way I can describe it is like a modern retelling of the original Robotech cartoon of just like the initial Macross saga of it, which was, for those unfamiliar, Robotech is a Japanese anime series made in America. Well, it's 3 different Japanese anime series adapted to make one American cartoon.
Oh yeah.
That all had separate storylines that they kind of wove and edited to make some vaguely coherent thing. But the comic starts off with like the initial setup of the original TV show, and it's interesting because they kind of make it more realistic in a lot of ways. Like it's more, I don't want to say Americanized, but that's kind of like the vibe. Like it's more like for a Western audience of things.
Okay.
Like there's certain characters that are like less damsels in distresses now, and like more like, and it's all, and I guess that's also the modernization of it. That it's not about like love triangles and soap opera bullshit, but like there's women out there kicking ass and taking names instead of just swooning over the main lead male.
Right.
But it was really good. If you're a fan of the series, it's worth checking out. It goes in some interesting directions, and it's not necessarily a spoiler since this is such an old book now. But it ends differently than or doesn't end, but the end of the trade paperback is different from what happens in the anime. They kill off a character, and it drastically shifts like everything that's going to happen from this point forward. So it's sort of like an Elseworld version of it, or I guess another good example would be like Star Trek. It's like a J.J. Abrams version of Robotech.
Cool.
So it's worth checking out, even if you're just vaguely interested in watching people and robots beat up aliens and giant space fights and that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Very nice.
I just have 2 more, and they're just kind of real quick. I read Suicide Squad #1, the relaunch of that team.
Volume 50.
I have no idea at this point what it's one of those. It gets to the point where you're like,
how many
whatever.
number ones of Suicide Squad?
Yeah. The only reason I got this was because Tom Taylor is the writer.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And he's one of those guys, like how Scott, you said you'll read anything Charles Soule.
Right.
I'll try anything Tom Taylor writes, because he I first learned about him from he did the comic adaptation for the Injustice video game, which I could care less about video games. I'm sorry. I'm just not a gamer. So, but I don't know where I read the first issue, if it was like something free on Comixology or free comic book day, but I read it just on a lark, and like at the end I was like, oh my god, I have to keep reading this. It was that good. Mm-hmm. And then he wrote that for years. What else? Notably, he's done
Wolverine. Right?
Wolverine, yeah, he did the X-23 when she took the actual name of Wolverine.
Oh wow. Okay.
He wrote recently, he wrote Deceased, which is really good.
Yeah, that was cool.
So he's one of those writers that he's really earned enough trust from me to read something new that he's, even if it's something I would never normally read. So yeah, I bought Suicide Squad #1. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It's an interesting. It's still the same concept. Villains that work for the government doing, dangerous missions to earn their freedom or whatever. And if they fail, oh well, we didn't like those guys anyways. They go to stop this group of superpowered revolutionaries, and they do. But then part of the there's a kind of a twist where almost like the whole reason for them going out was to capture these guys and make them work for the suicide or for Task Force X. So they were just pretty much adding to their ranks. I mean, there's way more to it than that. I'm just giving like the abbreviated version.
Who's the team?
It is. Hold on, let me pull it up. It's kind of
Because I know they always pull in like wild card characters.
Yeah, like on the cover, it's Harley, Deadshot, Zebraman, King Shark, and Cavalier.
Okay, those are some wild cards.
Yeah, and there's and I think there's a couple more, but they like I said, there's this new team of kind of like almost like it's almost like a millennial Suicide Squad.
Okay,
but like I said, they're more like revolutionary. They're out for like to change the world and for social justice, and it's almost like the Authority.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Suicide Squad is sent in to stop them, and it doesn't go very well for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, Amanda Waller's like, well, guess what? We're kind of adopting some of these misfits over onto our team, and so it should be interesting.
Cool.
The other person in the Suicide Squad was Magpie.
Oh.
Magpie. Oh, yeah.
So, so I'll probably and the art was really good too. Bruno Redondo is the artist, and it's really good. The last book I have that I was not as thrilled about, I wanted to be, was Hawkeye Freefall, #1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I think that Matthew Rosenberg is the writer, and Otto Schmidt is the artist. And I really liked Otto Schmidt. He did when Green Arrow came back with the Rebirth. He was on that, and he was really good. This is just more like, I don't know, when Fraction kind of reintroduced the bad luck Hawkeye,
mm-hmm.
It was different.
Yeah.
But now it's just
that's
like
his thing. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's like that's the only Hawkeye we ever get anymore.
Yep.
Is just the loser,
yep.
like his own worst enemy, but somehow still lands on his feet.
Yep.
Can't always puts his foot in his mouth type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so funny and so charming and so snarky and whatever.
It's very different to think like that quick shift from like, I think the last time I read Hawkeye before Fraction was like Jim McCann, and that was much more upbeat and like cool stuff. He still kind of had this stupid H thing, I think, like the wings and all that. But it was awesome, and then it switched to the Fraction, and then
and now it's just like
every like West Coast Avengers, everything he shows up in, especially with Kate Bishop. Anytime Kate Bishop's around, and even Old Man Hawkeye, he's that same.
Oh, okay.
He's still kind of that guy,
right? Which
is weird.
Yeah,
because Old Man Hawkeye was made before that.
Yeah,
but
and I get that. Like Clint has always been kind of like a smart ass.
Yeah,
thumbs his nose at authority. But this is different. This is more like I don't know. Like I said, this was this like it was like Fraction had an interesting take on him, and I think that was just like lightning striking, like right place, right time.
Yeah,
and not everyone can do it the way he did it.
Yeah,
and that's what we're getting in this book, and I really don't like it. Like I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this Hawkeye. Like like it's got like put him back in his costume or give him a new costume. I don't care, but like Hawkeye needs a return to being Hawkeye and not this like bum.
He's also like never really on teams anymore. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel as if I don't see him on team books anymore.
Yeah, well, I think that's a result of this new characterization of him, where he we're like, well, he doesn't take himself seriously. No one takes him seriously, so we can't put him on a team.
Mm-hmm.
He's always going to be this whatever loner.
Yeah.
Who apparently is sleeping with the night nurse.
Oh, jeez.
Which
Sure.
I don't know when that happened, but
I think that just happened in that book.
their night nurse, they live together.
Okay.
And there's like this kind of like, they're getting ready to do it. But of course he says like the wrong
Black
thing.
Label kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that Hawkeye
he
beat.
was single in West Coast Avengers, so that it's
Yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
you they came up with it in this.
It doesn't really say it. They made it sound like it's not new. I mean, that's just the way it's written.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, where the night nurse is appearing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Not often.
Yeah. She was around more. Bendis brought her back more in like New Avengers.
Yeah.
I've seen her in one-shots, in anthology book one-shots more often than
Yeah.
like anywhere else.
Right.
Or like, hey, remember Night Nurse? Here's a short story for like
Yeah,
4
I mean,
pages.
right, exactly.
But yeah.
But at one point, so there's the main thrust of this book is someone has taken. There's a new Ronin in town,
Yes.
but he's a bad guy, and Clint's all upset because he's like, well, "That's my thing." He's like, even though I'm not Ronin, I was Ronin, and I feel a certain responsibility towards it. And Falcon and Winter Soldier approach him, and they're like, "Yeah, we need your help to find this new Ronin and take him down." And I think it's kind of funny that like, oh, these are the 3 guys that are going to be on the that are going to have their own TV shows
Right.
pretty soon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's certainly a lot of that going around. Right?
Yeah. So, but like, Bucky and Falcon are all business, and of course Clint's just like dum-de-dum-de-dum.
Yup.
Just like a complete idiot. And it's just like I said, I can't even take the character seriously anymore.
I wonder.
It's just a ridiculous.
I was gonna say, I wonder if the Netflix show will veer towards that.
I don't think it will because of this, just of Jeremy Renner. Like Jeremy Renner is not that, that Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to recast him.
I always thought Jeremy Renner was too serious to be Hawkeye.
I thought, well,
Yeah.
Like the way he played him.
yeah, in a way, yeah, because he was more of a like a spy than like his like the cinematic
he was more
universe.
of a spy.
Yeah.
He was he was a SHIELD agent first
Yeah.
before he became an Avenger,
Yeah.
and as opposed to like the comic book Clint was, he grew up at a circus,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he was a thief, and he was like not a good guy, or he was not a guy that really probably took life seriously.
Yeah.
Maybe they should get that guy from the Fear of the Walking Dead. He's like he's a trick
Yeah.
shooter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You get that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your new Hawkeye. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure they're not going to really change Hawkeye's personality for the show, but I really wish they would for the comics. I'm just, like I said, the day of the goofball Hawkeye should be over.
Mm-hmm.
We bring back
Somewhere in the middle.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because when he was Ronin, he was gritty and
Mhm.
like all like angsty about whatever.
right,
And then eventually he just got better.
yeah,
She's like, oh, I'll have fun again. But
yeah.
yeah, it seems that his characterization's all over the place all the time. It really,
Yep.
it's as all over the place as his various secret identities. I guess he feels responsibility about. So
Yeah.
I hope there's not like a new Goliath or whatever.
How about Hawkeye and Jamie Madrox get together? And
Oh boy.
there you go. There's some fun times.
Yep.
Yeah. Could be the.
That happened in Old Man Hawkeye.
Oh, really?
Sort of, yeah. They were the
With the-
Madrox gang.
Oh, nice.
they,
Okay.
they were like a rogue of raiders. His different
jeez.
multiple copies formed like a. It was a good book.
Nice. Have to check it out.
You should.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Madrox.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Anyone have anything else to go over?
I think I'm good.
Done. I have one last cut just to keep
Okay.
Oh
it.
no!
Do it.
I was just telling somebody to get this.
Kick ass. I'll tell you
You
why
spoke
though.
so highly of it.
I still think very highly of this book. The problem is I read 6 issues of this in like 20 minutes.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Got you. That's
Like,
fair.
It's just
They're
the
dollar box comics.
it's the cost. And that at that point I'm just gonna wait. Although it does end on a like it's gonna. I actually think he's going on a break with this book anyway.
Mm.
But I think I'm just gonna hold out and try to get it on the cheap later
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a quick read.
Yeah.
It's been very enjoyable, but it's just like
It's not
I just spent
not worth the cover price.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always
like,
tough.
What is it? $4. So
Ooh.
for 6 issues, $24
Yeah.
for 20 minutes of entertainment.
Right.
It's like, eeh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's why. Like, it's nothing against the book is very, very awesome and on the mark, but yeah, just too easy.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fair.
So that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. This has been episode 337 of the Comic Book Pit podcast. And again, we're back for 2020. Glad to be here in the Sorgatron Media studio. And I'm your host, Dan. And with me in the studio, we got Scott,
See you.
a.k.a. the Axeman,
Actually,
and Link,
Oh, see everybody.
nickname pending.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
got some harsh cuts. Yeah. We'll see. One of the things I be more open to reading, like stuff that we have, you know.
Oh, like on the drive?
Yeah.
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 You know, so I can be a little more experimental, like read books and just see if I like it or not,
Mm-hmm.
instead of feeling like I'm on. I gotta keep going with this, you know.
Yeah.
Doomsday clock, you know.
Well, that's
stuff like
well. I
that.
think.
It's
Well,
like it's,
so like when we get, we technically get like Kick-Ass, but it's one of those things like when we get our image files, it comes in an email and there's a link. It'll say like it'll give a list like these are the books that you can download. These are available by request only, and a lot of times it'll be like a Kirkman book or Kick-Ass. Like Kick-Ass is usually one of those ones that's by request only, and I never think to request it because I'm like, well, I don't know, but like because I think you're the only one that reads it, but you usually buy it.
yeah.
But like,
But it was one I needed to catch up on too,
Right.
and that's why I'm like, all right, I've made my assessment now that I'm,
Mm-hmm.
you know, caught up. So
anyone need a break or anything or?
I should be all right.
I think I'm fine.
Yeah.
Just resting my ears.
I mean, I may have slouched more in my seat.
You're just slowly
Yeah,
sliding
just
off.
sinking. Yeah.
So are you guys want to talk about like Star Wars and the Mandalorian and?
We can talk about those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you can. I know you can.
We can talk
I threw that thing in there about
Exactly.
like Joaquin Phoenix. I just threw it in there. I don't really have anything to
Oh,
say
with
about
Joker.
it. Yeah.
I got
mean,
nothing. I haven't even watched it yet.
I
okay.
haven't either. I think it's. I just love the fact that like
yeah,
the comic
it's
book
great.
movie went home with an award and
Yeah.
Scorsese went home with nothing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I just like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
I
really
like
have
it a
anything like insightful to say. I guess, but
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to it except that I really enjoyed the movie. That's about it.
Yeah, but we'll see. We will see where it takes us. Am I the only one that watched the Harley Quinn thing?
The
TV
animated?
show cartoon.
Oh,
Yeah, I have not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
Somebody at work actually mentioned it.
I know Mav mentioned it on the last show. I was like, oh yeah, that's out, and then I checked it out, so I can mention that if it comes up or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. All right.
I normally don't listen to all the episodes, but I listened to the Mav one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, wow. You guys. That dude. I know I'm on the air, but dude, you can talk. He's got words.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just turn them on and go.
What? I don't know if you saw. I got that letters from Stalingrad.
I did see that, yeah.
I was like, oh, well, there we
how
go.
was it?
I haven't read it yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
I do. Yeah, I have it. So I have to get in the right mood to be depressed.
Yeah.
So
Might
I
wanna
was like, I'm not going to read this
pour
over the
yourself a glass
holiday
of wine
break.
or something. Light a
I'll read
candle.
this on Christmas. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
I forget what else. Yeah, you had like some different topics. You had other topics.
Oh,
Mhm.
I
New
forget what.
Mutants.
Yes.
I haven't watched.
Oh, I did watch
didn't
it.
get to see the trailer yet, but
I saw
I don't
that.
need to see the trailer to talk about how
I
excited
did.
I am.
Okay, we can
saw
talk
it.
about that first. Yeah, I did watch it today.
Okay.
All right. Everyone good to go?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Welcome back to the Comic Book Pit podcast. This is episode 338. I'm Dan, and with me in the amazing Sorgatron Media studio, we got Scott.
Sitting up.
Scott the Slouch.
People, what up? Yeah.
Look at that posture.
It's comfortable.
And
Yeah.
Link
Hey, everybody.
with the good posture.
No, I'm not really.
That's right.
It's terrible
super
posture.
super casual. Over here,
Super
over here
cash.
on the
Yeah.
the couch. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And excuse me. And if you're a new listener, welcome. This is our second show of 2020, and we're happy to be back. And just to give you an idea, we do two types of episodes. We do a comic review episode, and then we alternate it with a general discussion / media discussion type of episode, which who knows, they usually devolve pretty quickly into anything goes.
Yeah.
But this episode is our media discussion, and so I think we're going to start off with something that happened recently, recently as of the recording, but probably when you hear this, it'll already been like a couple weeks old.
Yeah.
But a new trailer for the new Mutants movie dropped,
Yes.
and it looks pretty good. I know, Link, you have some thoughts about that.
I mean, so I haven't watched the trailer, but I have thoughts for New Mutants. Is that I'm been super stoked ever since Logan came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard that they were doing a horror movie or a horror-ish movie with the New Mutants, and the initial trailers looked awesome. I think there might have been even 2 trailers, and then we were really pumped to see it. We made an arrangement with a friend that we were meeting out in Boston. We're like, okay, cool, we'll go see it because it's coming out that time. Then it didn't come out
Mm-hmm.
for like a year and a half.